Hello there, and welcome to the Bitcoin Takeover podcast. I am Vlad, and today my guest is the creator of MercuryWallet. And if you're not aware of MercuryWallet, then I guess you've been living under a rock or something, because it's one of the coolest privacy applications for Bitcoin. It enables you to do CoinSwaps, and basically what it does is that it exchanges your UTXO with somebody else's off-chain in a way that's not traceable and cannot be proven in any way that's being recorded. And his name is Nicholas Gregory, and he is also the CEO of CommerceBlock, if I'm not mistaken. You're still the CEO, right, Nicholas?
As of today, yes.
It's very dynamic in this space. You know, you introduce someone as the CEO a year ago, and then they come on your show and they're like, no, I'm no longer the CEO. What happened?
Yeah.
Well, I stepped down for some reason to focus on research. But it's good to know that you're still the CEO, and there's a lot of exciting stuff that you're doing, also with Lightning. So tell me more about this.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, Mercury Wallet is predominantly we call it internally a layer two wallet. So our experience, I mean, before building Mercury, we were building sidechains. And I think after we got the state chain implementation working, the original idea between state chains in Ruben Samson's paper was always to integrate this with Lightning. So once we got it working, that was kind of full step in our mind of how to integrate it with Lightning. And what we've been doing predominantly for the last 6 months is actually getting Lightning working in the wallet. And that's working in the wallet without actually having anything to do with state chains. So we working with LDK, which is the Lightning implementation that's built by the Spiral guys. So we've taken the LDK toolkit and we're building LDK to run as like its own node inside the wallet. So it'll be fully non-custodial. It'll basically be running as a node. I guess the only architecture you can make it similar to, if you think of all the Lightning wallets, is probably Blix. I don't know if that rings a bell to you, but they run a local LND node, and we think that's probably the best way to go with Lightning because it's nicer to have your own wallet with its own running node, and then you can manage your own channels, and arguably you get more options in how you run it.
Yeah, I know about Blix. I'm actually supposed to interview their creator in a week or
Okay.
two. And also, they do something similar with Breeze, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, look, there's many Lightning wallets available around. The ones I'm familiar with from architecturally is Blix. I look at BitKit as well, and Phoenix. I think those are the three that I've kind of maybe opened up their GitHub, spent time on. So,
Okay, so how would you compare? And I know that I did ask you this the previous time
mhm,
when you were on the show, but maybe not everyone has listened to that episode. No, let's get it to state chains first.
mhm.
What is a state chain and how does it work?
At a high level, it's basically creating a virtual open dime. So Bitcoins live on these things called UTXOs. To send a UTXO, you have to sign a transaction to move it from person A to B. What we did is with some cryptography and some back end processing, we're able to move that UTXO off chain without an on chain transaction. So the technology used is MPC. We use something called two party CDSA. So the back end has a kind of when you create one of these state coins, you basically have a public address which still represents the current UTXO. The back end, which is run by us, Mercury Wallet, signs a transaction in cooperation with the user to move that UTXO off chain to another person. So it starts to be like a virtual open dime in that sense. And there's a lot of trade-offs there. There's a lot of caveats. You can only move it a certain amount of times. But that's essentially how it works at a high level.
Okay. And how does Mercury Wallet use that for privacy?
Well, the moment you move something off chain, just like using a virtual open time, it's private. That essentially, there's nothing more private than me meeting you at a local bar, a local restaurant, or a local park, and me giving you a virtual open time. And then that's what we've tried to do in a virtual sense. And one of the first applications we decided to build on state chains was something called CoinSwaps. CoinSwaps at the time has been mentioned a few times. I think there's a few attempts to build an open source version. we felt with this protocol or a technology that allows you to kind of take a UTXO off chain and move it, CoinSwaps would be one of the first kind of approaches to demonstrate how it's useful. Because we didn't necessarily see MercuryWallet users meeting each other in bars and pubs and swapping their UTXOs. So having this built into the app where multiple people can register, click the swap button, we thought that would be a cool way to demonstrate the technology. And predominantly, I guess that's what people use us for.
Okay, so you mentioned the CoinSwap, which is a way to exchange UTXOs in an open dime way, as you described it. But how would you define that as different from a coin join?
Well, a coin join essentially takes multiple users and creates this kind of Uber transaction. So if me and you were to do a coin join, what you'd see on the transaction graph, you'd see both our UTXOs kind of munged into one Uber transaction. And coin joins, they use a kind of similar protocol as we do, this kind of zero link, where when you register for a coin join a transaction, it's kind of blinded the way they merge you. So you're not necessarily able to see which output is linked to which input. And we do something similar in that when CoinSwap users meet each other, we have this kind of similar approach to zero link. So, and because the swap is actually blinded itself, you don't know who you've actually swapped to. But the big difference is on the transaction graph on the blockchain. When you see a coin join, you see, say, two transactions, they're merged into a kind of like one transaction and the outputs come out. With us, you wouldn't see that. You would actually just see a swap. So there's no kind of like, there's no Uber transaction. So there's positives and negatives about that. The positive is there's no basically evidence of a coin join. And, what we've seen in the last few years is exchanges and various people are saying, if you've done a coin join, that's bad. This exchange won't accept it. With a coin swap, you don't have that. So that's, better privacy in a theory. The negative about it is that you don't know who you're swapping with. So you could end up with a coin that's non-desirable. And that's a risk. And to mitigate that risk, what we do is every time there's a coin swap, we kind of take a hash of that and write it into the Bitcoin blockchain. So in theory, if you were to swap with, a bad actor and someone said, why have you got this bad coin? You could prove that you did a coin swap. So it's a different model. It's better in some ways, worse in some ways. And it has a different, just semantics.
So would you say that the two of them are complementary and you can do both coin joins and coin swaps to maximize your privacy?
Potentially, yeah. I think they're complementary. I don't see them as competition. I mean, when we built MercuryWallet, it wasn't necessarily to be a privacy wallet. It was really to be a layer 2 wallet. And, we thought eventually people could swap, use this technology to swap Lightning channels or swap Bitcoin for Lightning. It was really to prove that. But I think, all layer 2s have a layer of privacy. I mean, I think Lightning is certainly more private than going on chain, not as private as, something like a coin join, but it does have privacy semantics. But I think they're very different. And at the same time, there are people doing coin joins with Lightning. I think a wallet called Mutiny, probably a bunch of guys that would probably be good for you to chat with because we've looked at their code and that's certainly very interesting. But yeah, they're complementary. They're just a different tool in the toolbox. That's the way I would look at them.
So I was speaking with the creator of Wasabi Wallet in a previous episode, and he told me that coin joins would become exponentially better if Bitcoin had a way to hide the amounts being transacted, which means confidential transactions. Would you say that coin swaps would get any benefit from that?
Well, the issue of confidential transactions is you kind of lose auditability. I think there's the risk that you wouldn't be able to verify that the amount of coins on the blockchain. So I think, I don't think confidential transactions are coming to Bitcoin in my lifetime or anytime soon. But I mean, if you were to do coin swaps on, say, Liquid, the amounts essentially would be blinded. So that would be a privacy improvement. So you can go on Liquid, which supports confidential transactions, move amounts around, and you wouldn't see the amounts. And if you were swapping different types of amounts, using CoinSwap on Liquid, that certainly would be better. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good answer. And I was also curious about Mercury Wallet in terms of monetization and revenue. With CoinJoins,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot simpler to figure out. There is a coordinator in the middle who collects a fee, and each time you join, you pay this amount or this percentage to the coordinator to handle this service. In the case of CoinSwaps, I guess it's not as obvious. What is the monetization model?
Yeah, so I can tell you what we're doing now and how hopefully something we're going to change very soon. But at the moment, when you create a stake coin, there's no fee, and you come onto the system, you create this stake coin, you can swap it, give it to your friend, and then when you take it off, when you peg out, the transaction includes a fee that comes to us. At the moment, it's 0.5%. What we're planning to do, and this is why we've done a lot of work at Lightning, is we're going to take an upfront fee payable by Lightning. And we haven't decided on the fee yet, but it's going to be a lot less than 0.5%. It will be a fixed fee. So it will be literally like buying an empty virtual open dime. And it will be, and, we'll gamify it. So, 1 for X, 10 for X minus 30% or something. But yeah, going forward, probably in the next month or so, people will be able to buy these virtual open dimes from us for a fee, and that will be more upfront and that will be more deterministic. And that will, because of the blinded nature of the way we do this, it won't be based on the amount of money you're putting into the open dime, because we won't know. We simply wouldn't have the capacity to figure that out. And that's where we haven't actually decided on the fee, because we've got to basically charge this the same for, say, $50, and it'll be the same for, $50,000. We just have no idea.
Is the model centralized in the sense that you deal with a coordinator who does stuff, or is it like an open market where you look for offers for swapping? Like, is the swapping automated or is it user optional?
We're not involved in. Yeah. So what's centralized in Mercury is the building of Statechains and the collaboration in moving Statechains. I mean, that's state coins, which are part of the state chain. The swapping we're actually nothing to do with it, because the system's blinded. We don't know who's swapping, when they're swapping. Yeah, it's not something we could even take a fee from. So we only take fees for people using state coins, not nothing to do with swaps. And the protocol, the way the system is designed, it just doesn't allow for that anyway. We wouldn't be able to.
That's a useful distinction, and that's, I guess, something that is a smart design. As we see privacy wars going on and developers getting arrested for doing privacy related stuff, and basically you're just charging a fee for entering the state chain. You're not charging a fee for people acquiring privacy through the state chain.
No, it's a weird one, because with submarine swaps, a lot of these Lightning wallets are somewhat private, maybe not as good as private as some of the main contenders. But I know people that use Liquid for privacy because of confidential transactions. So it's very unclear what's going on in that area, because I think most sophisticated non-custodial layer twos, whether that's side chains, state chains, Lightning, are going to have areas of privacy. So picking on certain people for being private, but that's not the way the system works. I think there needs to be a bit more education there.
The first time when I interviewed you, I guess Mercury Wallet had launched for a couple of months, and it was still one of the early versions. And as far as I can see right now, you got to version 0.8.6. What changed in the meantime? What did you add to the software?
Yeah, I mean, I guess when I spoke to you, we were very much in alpha, and we had a lot of challenges. I mean, thankfully, and I do have a wooden table, and I'm going to say touch wood, no one ever lost their funds. But I think, having this work locally between the devs, throwing it out to the wild, there was a lot of challenges. And I guess the biggest thing we've been wrestling with, and I think that's something that other people as well, is with Tor. So, Tor, and then unfortunately Tor was DDoS for a large part of this year. So one of the big changes we made, outside of like minor UI changes here and there, was basically being able to support other private, mesh networks. So we support I2P as well. So when Tor is under heavy DDoS, we basically allow the users to click on I2P and then kind of like reboot the wallet using connecting to the I2P network. And that was quite a lot of work. We had to make a lot of changes to be supported on Umbrel. We're not live on Umbrel yet, but the pull request is done. So, hopefully when the Umbrel team, we're in the queue to get listed on Umbrel. So hopefully that will be changed. And with the work we did on Umbrel, we modified a lot of our internals so that post Umbrel we could start looking at mobile, because as majority of the world does use mobile, not desktop. I think you're a bit of a legacy person if you're using desktop. And outside of that, really the team's been focused on Lightning, which isn't live yet, but that's where a lot of the engineering and to support Lightning, we've had to make a lot of internal changes.
So how would Lightning benefit from MercuryWallet?
Well, first release, it's going to be the same wallet, but with just Lightning inside of it. So it won't be there won't be a direct relationship, but it'll be a new Lightning wallet and not a new long custodial Lightning wallet. So internally, it's just people can use this as their layer 2 wallet. So that's going to be really, because we found a lot of people. Obviously, we see our download statistics. We see people, they download it, they play with it, and they leave. And because the users don't, there's not many. There isn't really a marketplace for Statechains. I don't think there's many. I don't think Bitrefill are in a rush to support Statecoins. So we wanted to have a bit of more stickiness. So we felt by being really more of a layer 2 wallet as opposed to just being a Statecoin only wallet, we would incentivize people to use us more. And that's where we decided to put Lightning. And then obviously, as I've mentioned, we want to go fully blinded. Fully blinded would mean we take a payment in Lightning. So you can imagine the user basically has to use a Bitcoin wallet to basically potentially transfer Bitcoin to us, and then use a Lightning wallet to basically pay for that Statecoins. User now has to have 3 wallets. So by us being a layer 2 wallet, you kind of reduce that. So that's the initial approach, really, to integrate layer 2 functionality into one place. Now we have worked on a blip. We published that at some point in December last year, where we're going to look to integrate Statecoins with Lightning channels, and that's the end goal. And we've kind of spec'd that out. We put it out to feedback. We've spoken to some of the Lightning devs. We've spoken to Ruben Samson again, and that would be a way of integrating both of these technologies. And that means that you could swap a Lightning channel and then you could swap a Lightning channel as a Statecoin. You could go from Statecoin to Lightning channels with ease, and that's going to open a lot of possibilities there.
It sounds really cool. Now that I think about it, I have like a dozen Lightning wallets in my phone, and the way that I used most of them was exactly how you described it. I checked it out in the beginning, stuff like Wallet of Satoshi. I think I used it for like 2 days and then I forgot about it, but never uninstalled it. Stuff like, I don't want to make them feel bad or something. Neyuta, for example, the Japanese one, I didn't really use it. The one that I liked for some reason was Blue Wallet back in 2019. And I like that you could connect your own Electrum server. You can connect your own Lightning node if you have one. So basically, it's a lot more advanced, and it also has Tor. But the fact that you already have most of the infrastructure laid down with Mercury, and you have Tor, you have I2P. I'm actually curious if you're going to add NIM at one point in the future. But the fact that you have all this makes it easy to integrate something like LND or like Core Lightning. I think that's what they call C Lightning nowadays. To have a fast.
Our front end actually uses LDK, which is the Spiral library written in Rust. So we do run an LSP on the back. We do run Lightning infrastructure, just to be clear. And that is Lightning Core, and that's more to do with the background of our team. LDK is kind of written in Rust. Most of the back end for Mercury is written in Rust, and obviously with C Lightning, there's no kind of like production ready backend server for LDK. So that's why, and we decided to, on the back end, to work with Core Lightning because it's got kind of a modular architecture with plugins. So when we're ready to start implementing state chain / Lightning functionality, we could build that as a set of plugins for Core Lightning with Core Lightning, and it just works for us. So a lot of people get tribal about what Lightning version to use, but a lot of it for us was decision by the skill set of our team, what we're comfortable coding in, stuff like that, and architecture wise.
Yeah, to me, it makes a lot of sense that you would first of all want to go mobile. I know that Wasabi are also looking into that, but it's kind of delicate with the stuff that they do. And the fact that you want to build a Lightning wallet makes a lot of sense, and that would bring a lot of adoption to Statechains because not many people use them nowadays. But if they had a Lightning wallet that also has that feature, there would be a lot more experimentation in the beginning. Then people would figure out, like, have that eureka moment and say, this can be a lot more useful than I thought. And it's the first time when I discovered this. So yeah, it's a very good idea. And you're getting added to Umbrel. Did you consider also getting added to Raspberry Blitz? Because that's the one that I use.
No, but we could. The one that people message us quite a lot about, well, like a lot, 2 or 3 times, is Start9. But I think now that we've got into Umbrel, we had to make a lot of changes to MercuryWallet for that to work. I think now that we've done that, it's going to be easy to work with Start9, Raspberry Blitz, Nodal. I think, yeah. So yeah, we can take that. But I mean, once we're on Umbrel, we'll see if people use it. I mean, it's hard to gauge if that's something that even people want. So we'll see.
On Umbrel, I guess you have this audience of newbies who don't really know much about configuring their own Bitcoin node. They just want something plug and play. So there might be some curious people who try it, but if you get on Start9, I think that Start9 has an audience where people who want to be sovereign, and they run Tor all the time, and they run stuff like Matrix for messaging and whatever. So I think on Start9 you're gonna find more of an ideological convergence between what Statechains are and what they do, and what MercuryWallet does and what the users of Start9 are looking for. So personally, I think it's a good idea to also look into Start9. I think it's called not Citadel.
Embassy, isn't it? Embassy, isn't it? Yeah, Embassy OS. Yeah, I mean, I kind of went down the geek path of looking at Start9 versus Umbrel. They got very different approaches. Which Umbrel just is like a Docker container, and it's a packaging of a lot of Docker containers. With Embassy kind of built their Start9 guilds built their kind of like the contained operating system for managing all. It's interesting. So they're fun stuff. I mean, it's kind of like being one of the interesting things, seeing the different kind of like self-sovereign users, and it's brought a lot of people into Linux, which is fun. So now I'm always looking for like cheap, dirty, secondhand laptops, and I'm repurposing them to be node runners. I'm doing that. I've been doing that for a few friends, which is great.
Fascinating. Like, I would not expect this to happen. I would expect people to look more into Raspberry Pis, but I guess they optimized the OSs to be more like Linux distributions. So they're no longer reliant on Raspberry Pis.
Well, Raspberry Pis have come up in price, but I'm a fan of finding, I like buying old IBM Lenovo's, remember that, those? And I've seen a few going secondhand, the small 11-inch ones, but you can some of them come with a 1 terabyte disk. So you can buy them for like £300-400 now with a 1 terabyte disk, and then shove Ubuntu on it, and then run your node or run Umbrel, run Start9. And it's nice to have the whole thing in one laptop keyboard in a small 11-inch laptop. I find that's maybe easier than going with the Raspberry Pi approach. That's my personal preference, but
yeah, I have one of these, and I really like the case. It's super compact, and you can just leave it next to pieces of furniture. This one is a bit dusty right now because it burnt down. I have a different one running, but
what we do
I love it.
For our backup keys, we use Intel NUCs. You know the NUCs?
Yeah, I thought it was called NUX, but NUX, I guess, has a nice ring to it.
Yeah, so we run Intel NUCs for backup key management for our Mercury servers. So it's all multi-sig. So if someone steals my one, it's useless. But that's and we use them. So we do a lot of stuff with hardware. We built like a kind of like not proprietary, but an open source HSM built on Intel XGX, and a lot of people are critical of HGX, and I think some of the criticism is valid, but you got to understand how we're using it. But that means we can basically take a NUC, so long as it's running the right Intel architecture, and convert that into an HSM, and that was a lot of complexity, but a lot of fun at the same time.
Yeah, as far as I know, Nux or NUX is this modular approach to servers. You buy this tiny computer and you're supposed to put the parts in it, like hard drives and RAM and whatever. It just comes with a processor, as far as I know,
Mm-hmm.
and the
Correct.
main board.
Mm-hmm.
So I did consider that for my node, but at the same time, it seems a bit overkill for my needs.
Yeah, I think they're about £600-700 at the time. It's more of like a mini server.
And at that price range, I guess you could also look into secondhand Intel Xeon professional servers.
Maybe. I mean, we used NUCs because their architecture, the CPU architecture, supported Intel XGX. So, and if you know, if you want to, would I advise people to use that for an HSM mixed? Because you can get these YubiKeys now as well, which you could plug in on the cheaper hardware and use that. But
yeah, I did see that YubiKeys are super popular. And I did discover, like a couple of years ago, I had a mind-blowing moment when I realized that the Trezor can be used as a YubiKey. Maybe not for all of the purposes, doesn't support all the standards, but still, if you have an older hardware wallet, like a Ledger, a Trezor, a Bitbox, they can all be used for two-factor authentication.
yeah, I can't say a thought about that, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
yeah, I
just
guess
don't keep your backup on the same device. Only use it for signing, logins or whatever, for your
yeah.
email, for your Twitter.
No, I use YubiKeys quite a lot. I find them quite fun.
Yeah, the best part about them is that you can get, they're like Swiss knives of login items, HSMs or whatever you call them. You can use them on your iPhone, you can use them on your Android device. They have multiple plugs, and you can also put them in your computer. Super cool.
Yeah, no, and they've got strong survivability. I'm sure mine has been in the washing machine a few times. It's been beaten up, dropped, and it still seems to work.
I see some people who administrate servers or whatever who carry YubiKeys on their keychain, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea.
Yeah, so long as you remember to use multi-sigs and have a few of them around.
Anyway, I feel like we're basically giving free advertisement to Yubico, which produces YubiKeys.
Yeah,
We're not getting paid for this. Yeah, so I have another question about CommerceBlock, because it's a company that does so much more than MercuryWallet. What else are you guys into?
Well, predominantly MercuryWallet, but there's technology that came out of Mercury that we do a bit of advisory from. I mean, originally we were building sidechains, but that, as you know, that sidechains didn't dominate the world. So we've kind of like we actually had a fork of Liquid. We called it Ocean, and that was kind of a more bespoke sidechain. And we did have one client, and we did a few POCs for other clients, but it was hard to get momentum. I guess the only other thing we maintain at the moment is something called Mainstay, which is kind of like a proof of publication service. Mercury actually uses that. So, when I told you what happens if you do a swap but you get a bad coin, well, how do you prove you've been in a swap? Well, we write that to Mainstay, and that service is still live. It's still being used. It has a few users, not many. Funny enough, people have been talking to us about it this week with all these ordinals, because I say to people, well, you could use Mainstay, we wouldn't bloat the blockchain. You could put like a million proofs. But outside of that, very little. It's mainly some advisory work, and but we're looking at taking a lot of the technology we have in Mercury and seeing where we can adapt it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking at your website right now, and I do see that you have in the section of other products. I mean, let me show it since I'm still here. CommerceBlock. I'm gonna open it in a different browser from the one I'm looking at, for privacy reasons mostly. So let me bring it up on the second screen, and we can see CommerceBlock, and it says building the future. Of course, you're the director and CEO with links to Twitter and LinkedIn. And you have as your main product and service MercuryWallet, a privacy layer 2 Bitcoin solution. And in the other product section, you have trusted computing, and you did mention something about Intel SGX, HSMs, and MPC. Mainstay, which you just mentioned, a highly scalable protocol that enables generation and verification of trustless timestamps and proof of publication for arbitrary data and documents, and asset side chains. And I guess, yeah, this is the Ocean project that you had.
So we probably need to update that website, but the only update would be removing the asset side chains, because I don't even think we'd speak to a customer right now if they contacted us, and probably include some of the work we're doing around Lightning. So,
okay. Is there anything else that you would like to say about MercuryWallet and what's next for the project? Because in the second part of this interview, I want to do a full demo of MercuryWallet to show people how it works and have you as the witness.
No, just our focus is very much Lightning. We are, we are building more Lightning backend infrastructure. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but potentially may look at building out an LSP. It will obviously be very state chain orientated, but that's where our mindset is. It's probably going to be more part of CommerceBlock than Mercury, but we're looking for people to give us feedback on Statechains versus Statechains and Lightning working together. I mean, when we wrote the blip, it wasn't just me and Dr. Tom on it. We did reach out to people, I think friends of yours like Shinobi, Antoine Riard, who is a well-known Lightning. I'd call him a Lightning problem finder, because he finds all the bugs in Lightning and fixes them. But and that was very helpful for us to work with. And so that's where we're adding. So I think in a way we're going to make Mercury smaller. So when we go fully blinded, there's actually going to be less functionality because it will be doing less, because it'll be more optimal, and then probably going to do more on the back end.
I did see when I downloaded Mercury today that it has about 700 megabytes of data, and it made me wonder, like, what's in this one? Because it's kind of big, right?
I can explain that. Just packaging the binaries for Tor and I2P, depending on your target operating system, can bring down a lot of stuff. So, we can't assume that you've got I2P running on your machine or Tor. So that brings a lot of libraries. Just done that alone. I mean, that's not only of it, but that gives you an example of why the thing's so big. And it's going to get bigger when we package in LDK in there, which is the Lightning libraries. It's a challenge, yeah.
Also, last question before we get to the second part with the demo. What is your take on ordinals? Are they spamming the blockchain? Should they be stopped?
I have a mixed view on it. I mean, as you know, people were doing this years ago when, with bare multi-sigs. So I don't think it's a big deal. I think it's kind of funny, but but Bitcoin is a permissionless system, and smart devs are always going to find ways to put data on there that we don't want. And that's my view on it. I mean, I think short term, I could see there being a Bitcoin core release where, you download the data, you verify it, but maybe witness data is kind of chucked out. Because the only risk I see is potentially, let's just say nefarious JPEGs are put into it, and people running nodes end up with, unwanted JPEGs, illegal stuff, and that's a risk. And we've had that conversation before. I remember speaking to institutions years ago, and they said, well, doesn't Bitcoin Core have child porn on it or whatever in it? And I said, well, yeah, but it's encoded in lots of binary and stuff. So that's something we've got to be mindful for. But ultimately, it's a permissionless system. People are always going to find ways to put unwanted data there, and we have to deal with it. Sorry if that's, I hope I haven't bounced the question, but that's my view on it.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. And to me, it seems like it's accelerating a fee market because people are bidding for block space to insert their JPEGs and GIFs and whatever. They're paying a lot of money for that block space. Some are concerned trolling about third world users not being able to use Bitcoin on the cheap. But I guess they can still send cheap transactions and wait longer for the confirmation.
Yeah, but that decision was made, in 2017. I mean, that's when this block size increase was made. So, the fact is, before ordinals came live, a lot of people were worried about the block size space. Blocks weren't that full. Transaction fees have been very low, surprisingly, and people have been talking about, well, what's the future security model of Bitcoin? So, obviously that's gone away. So, but it's for us, people like, in the community, that people that are building layer 2 systems, we need to create services that use that block space. But, is the NFT market suddenly going to come to Bitcoin? I mean, I don't think so. I mean, there's a whole ecosystem around trading NFTs. I don't know if that's going to work on ordinals. I don't think it's realistic that it's going to be an issue. I think it's going to be a novelty thing. Maybe some funny DDoS stuff will happen, but I hope it doesn't add up to much. And I think Bitcoin Core should basically maybe do something so it's very easy for you to throw away this unwanted witness data after it's been verified.
Are you concerned that your friends, neighbors, or KYC exchange might know how much Bitcoin you own? It is time to take your financial privacy seriously with Wasabi Wallet, a free and open source wallet solution which makes use of mega coin joins to mix your coins with those of hundreds of other strangers. Thanks to the groundbreaking Wabi Sabi engine, your coins get divided in smaller, untraceable units, which grant you great anonymity for both hodling and spending. Download Wasabi Wallet 2.0 today at wasabiwallet.io and take advantage of the mega coin joins. It's free and it's open source, so don't trust, verify. CryptoSteel are innovators in Bitcoin cold storage. Back in 2013, they launched the CryptoSteel cassette, which made it easy to back up your seed phrase, passphrase, or any other form of private key on the sturdy metal which resists water, fire, and earthquakes. Today, CryptoSteel offers the Motherload, an all-in-one box which endows you with everything you need to become financially sovereign. Inside of the Motherload, you get a CryptoSteel capsule and a hardware wallet of your choice. All CryptoSteel products are engineered and manufactured in Poland. Order your CryptoSteel metal backup system today on cryptosteel.com and use promo code BTCTKVR at checkout for a 10% discount on your first order. CryptoSteel, secure your wallet seed phrase. Are you a writer, photographer, musician, or video creator who's trying to generate some revenue? Bumby is the Bitcoin way to monetize your content. It's more censorship resistant than any other platform of its kind, with a low and flat one-time fee of 10%. Bumby is as easy to use as any social media mobile application. Sign up today at Bumby.com and subscribe for free to the Bitcoin Takeover account to get access to some time-exclusive content. If you are monetizing your creativity, why not get paid in Bitcoin for it? Bombi.com, the Bitcoin way to monetize your content. Shopping with your Bitcoin on the internet is easy. Shop-in-Bit is Europe's biggest Bitcoin store with over 800,000 products, ranging from Bitcoin books, toothpaste, mobile phones, computers, and watches. This month, I bought a Nintendo Game & Watch console with the classic Legend of Zelda, and it arrived in only 5 working days. And if you can't find what you're looking for, Shop-in-Bit has got you covered. Their concierge service will get you anything and ship it worldwide. Additionally, they also have a travel hacking service that can get you the best deals on all things travel, flights, hotels, and more, for business and for vacations. Bitcoin Takeover listeners get a nice discount, of course. Use code BTCTKVR on your first order for a one-time €5 discount. For more details, go to shopinbit.com. Shop-in-Bit, Europe's biggest Bitcoin store. All right, Nicholas, in this second part of the interview, I decided that it would be a good idea if we walked through the setup in MercuryWallet. So basically, I figured out some stuff for myself and I show everyone else how this works because I feel like it's super underrated and so many people don't know about it. And I know that there are people listening on Spotify and Apple Podcasts who will not get the video experience. So let's try to also explain what's on the screen so that they get the best experience possible. Without further ado, let me share my screen right here. This is my Firefox browser. I searched for MercuryWallet on DuckDuckGo, clicked on it, and I see the page. You have versions for MercuryWallet in your GitHub for Linux, for Mac OS, and I'm not sure if you have Mac OS, which is optimized for Apple Silicon, or it's x86. You'll have to tell me that.
Yeah, I don't have a clear answer on that. I mean, I don't have the latest M1 or M2 chips. Yeah, I don't think we've actually got a specific one version optimized. It's probably just a base layer.
Yeah, so I run an M1 Mac Mini, which means that if I download this and run it, it's gonna be emulation, but it's still fine. The difference is that it just takes slightly more time for it to load.
I've actually ordered an M2, so yeah, probably something we'll probably be working on in the next few weeks.
You have some screenshots on your website and some explanation about what Mercury is. Very nice presentation. You also have an FAQ section with stuff that we already discussed about what a state chain, a state coin, and private key split are. And stuff like being non-custodial, if MercuryWallet can seize the coins. And swaps, documentation. Let's see the documentation before we get to the wallet. You have a quick start. Okay, so you have all sorts of technical information here for people who want to read about Merkle trees, fraud proofs, and all of this stuff about lockboxes.
So lockbox is that HSM stuff I was telling you about, which is fully open source. We were kind of hoping that more people would look at lockbox. I think there's an open source demand to have more of this kind of stuff done, and we are looking to integrate that and do that with Lightning, because when you're running a Lightning wallet, you essentially are, or when you're running a Lightning node, you essentially, whether you like it or not, you've basically got a hot wallet on the internet. So we are going to be repurposing things like lockbox to work with running a Lightning node.
Yeah, and you also have a full schematic of how MercuryWallet works with servers and how stuff gets sent to the lockbox, how transactions work. This is actually really interesting when you look at it. from the Bitcoin client into Electrum server and then to Mercury Wallet. Really cool. This is a lot more useful than explanations that you make verbally.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of things going on there. It's always hard to know how much to explain it without losing people, because people like you are interesting it. People like you pay interest. A lot of other people just want to hear the word virtual open dime. But yeah, like we do have a watchtower. Again, it's not a third party component. The wallet actually operates like a watchtower, and that's part of the security model.
Yeah, and before people get suspicious, I just have to make this full disclosure. I'm not paid to do this. You can buy me a beer when we meet in person, but it will look like I'm shilling Mercury Wallet. This podcast is actually sponsored by Wasabi Wallet, but they don't care that I promote other privacy projects. I guess they're actually happy that I promote the idea of privacy.
And to be fair to the CEO of Wasabi, he's retweeted us a couple of times. So, and we haven't paid him to do that, obviously. So yeah, there's and we've shared information about the issues of Tor, which we talk about outline. So there's a lot of collaboration still in this industry, which is good.
Yeah, and let's assume that right now I'll be downloading Mercury Wallet, which I already have. And I click this, it identifies my OS automatically and helps me download the right version. And then I downloaded it. It's about 700 megabytes in size. And after you download it and you run it, you get to this screen. This is what you see when you open Mercury Wallet. And you also have a dark mode, which I'll be using because it's nicer. Right now, at the start screen of Mercury Wallet, you have this message which says, welcome. And you can create a new wallet, restore from seed, or load an existing wallet, which means that you use some sort of wallet files to restore from. What kind of formats do you accept, like Electrum or wallet.dat from Bitcoin Core?
No, we have our own format that we store in as a kind of like encrypted JSON file, I think. None of, even though we use like this derivation path, it's all kind of unique. It's not compatible with other wallets or nothing. It's because we have a different signing mechanism because of the way it's Statechains, etc.
Okay, right now what I will do is to create a new wallet and click continue. And I get to choose between testnet or mainnet. If you want to do something memorable, I think this is a quote from Nicholas Gregory. You got to do it on the mainnet because that's how you know that your mistakes are going to be memorable.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as I can tell, I'm going to get a 12-word seed. It says never store it online or on the same computer, blah, blah, blah. Never let someone else see it, I guess. There is no way to recover the seed if it's lost. And the seed key is the only way to recover your wallet if your computer is lost, stolen, or stops working. I confirm that nobody can see my screen. I mean, I cannot really do that, but I will still tick this box.
We'll forgive you this time.
And hit continue. I'm not going to put any kind of Bitcoin in this. I'm going to call the wallet BTC-TKVR. Enter password. Of course, if you are good with passwords, you know that your password should be QWERTYUOUIOP and 1234 to make it more difficult. Don't do that ever. This is just for convenience right now. If you try to hack my wallet by using this is not my passphrase in any other wallet. I just made it up on the spot. And I get to choose between Tor and I2P. And for people who don't know the difference, what is I2P and how is it different from Tor?
Yes, so they're both trying to solve the same problem. They're both, I don't know what you'd call them, mesh networks, privacy networks. And they've got very different architectures. I mean, Tor has this, I2P is more of a kind of like a mesh of of nodes. So when you connect to it, you become part of that mesh. Whereas Tor has these kind of dedicated exit nodes. So when you go into Tor, I would say Tor is more of a privacy model that masks your surfing and your ability to go around the network. Whereas I2P is more, kind of more a network in itself. But Tor has a lot more users, so it's been under a lot heavy DDoS. We find when Tor and I2P are both working well without DDoS, Tor tends to be, significantly faster than I2P. However, when Tor is being DDoSed, it's kind of like performance is all over the place, whereas I2P doesn't. Now, there's a lot of caveats there. I2P probably doesn't have the same level of abuse that Tor's had, and so we don't know if I2P could be as scalable. But generally, I think today Tor has been working fine. Tor should work considerably faster than I2P. But they're very different architectures. I mean, they're complex beasts in their own, way, Tor and I2P. But our way of dealing with the Tor DDoS issues of last summer, last autumn was basically implementing I2P as well.
Right. So you basically answered my follow-up question. I was about to ask which one should I pick right now. So you mentioned that Tor is more reliable, so I'll go with Tor. It's also the one that I know best.
Yeah, I mean, from a user point of view, you see nothing different, and that's why it took us so long to develop. Because from a UI point of view, there's no difference to you, but there's a lot of different oddities going on in the background.
Right. So right now I pretend to have read the terms of use, and they're mostly about responsibility of the user. So you're not liable if someone loses their coins. Accessing the wallet, prohibited activities. Interesting. What's prohibited? Refrain from any activity which hinders or otherwise adversely affects the performance of the provision of Layer 2 Limited of its services to the user or any other users. The user undertakes not to reverse engineer, change, modify, hack, translate, copy, distribute, pledge, assign, transfer, make derivative works of any portion of the software. I mean, is this not open source?
It is open source.
I guess your lawyer is kind of incompetent. No offense. He copied this part. Anyway, I just gave you feedback on the terms of use, which was unsolicited, but should help you, I guess. Now let's create it. You're not supposed to see these words, but I have to ask you, is there a part where I have to type them? So do I have to write them down?
Yeah, we have a checker when you click next.
Right, so since this is gonna be on video, I'm gonna take a screenshot so I don't have to write them down. I'm gonna go lazy all the way. Right, so I have to type the words. The first one is museum. The third one is unaware. I like that there's this random approach. So you only type a few of them, but if you don't verify all of them, which you should, you can make mistakes when you write them down.
Mm-hmm.
Something that I don't like and I can give you feedback on is that I wish you would get suggestions instead of having to type the entire word.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have that in Electrum. Should be easy to copy from their open source code. It failed? What do you mean it failed? Oh, I mistyped unaware. See? This is what it's about. Confirm. And now I have Mercury Wallet with 0 BTC and 0 state coins in the wallet. I also have a privacy mode. I think this used to be called the lurking wife mode in Wasabi, where you hide your balance from people who might be looking at your screen. It says that I'm connected to server, connected to swaps, and connected to Bitcoin. And I have 3 buttons that I can use to send Bitcoin or Statechain, receive. And as you can see, the addresses are SC1. So they're distinct from the BC1 addresses from SegWit Bitcoin. And you can also receive with key. What's this? Transfer key.
We just yeah. So there's two ways of sending a state coin. You can have like this kind of view key that you can give to the person you send, or you can just send it directly. It's just two options. We generate a view, essentially like a view key, if you're familiar with Monero or confidential transactions, but it's not core to be using it. So, for example, if you click that off, you can generate a state coin address, and you go to its index, and you can just look for it at that index, or you can use the view key which the sender sends to you.
Also, some of you will be seeing this QR code on the screen and this address. Don't send any state coins to this. It's purely experimental. I mean, that would be such a waste because I'm not ever going to open this wallet again. I mean, you can if you want because you have the words, so you can have some fun.
So I guess the two interesting buttons are, well, you can, if you go on the arrow next to connect to Bitcoin, you can see that gives you an idea of how we're on the right side.
Oh, I see it. Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of tells you how. Yeah, so that's fine. So yeah, Tor is not causing drama. But I guess the two interesting buttons are deposit, because that's where you create a state coin address, and then swap, because that's where you'll see the swap pools.
I just checked to see if there are different Tor URLs, and they are for the swaps and for the server. So you are running different identities for Tor for the server and for your swaps, which is useful. As far as I know, Wasabi also does something similar for the UTXOs in your wallet. They run different Tor identities.
Yeah,
because
we have the same.
If they didn't, it would be easy for the coordinator to figure out that one set of coins also belongs to you. A different input.
Mm-hmm.
So they try to minimize the amount of information that they can know. So it's nice that you also do this. And it's nice that you give all of this information. It's reassuring.
Yeah,
Plus,
one of the Wasabis, one of the Wasabi guys did actually contact us, one of their devs, asking how do we manage XPubs? And I said, well, these are state coins. There are no XPubs. That's clearly an area of conversation between Wasabi and Samurai, but yeah, we don't have XPubs in state coins. They're not linked that way.
And what I really like is that you have the latency displayed. So it gives you an idea why this might be slower if Tor is unreliable or something, but right now it's more than decent. And what else do we have here? We have a activity, which obviously is like your ledger of transactions. You see what you received and what you sent. You also have state coins. If you deposit BTC, you're going to create state coins, and you have this fee that you are paying directly to CommerceBlock. And as you said, is it 0.5%? Or this is the withdrawal?
Yeah, on withdrawal.
Okay. So if I were to deposit Bitcoin here.
So that's yeah. You can deposit any amount, but obviously people want to have virtual open dimes or actual stake coins. So these are the ones that are currently supported, but you can do any.
As far as I can see, there are liquidity pools, and there is no liquidity for 1 BTC, which is a huge amount today. It's like $23,000. Not that I have that. And there is low liquidity for 0.1 BTC, but there's high liquidity. Oh, this is 0.01 BTC. So for this one, you have a high degree of liquidity. Okay, so you pick one.
So if you were to create one, so this is where I'd say the cryptographic magic is happening. So this is taking your private key and cooperating with our private key and creating this, this Bitcoin address, which is basically with the two keys you're kind of sharing. So this is so what you've actually done there is created the state coin. So
after how many confirmations do I get the state coins in the wallet? Either 2 or 6. I can't remember actually. So it does take a while. You do have to wait at least 20
Yeah, I mean,
to
it's still
60
Bitcoin,
minutes.
potentially, yeah.
Not that this is something that necessarily requires speed, but still.
Yeah, we don't support zero comp transactions.
I mean, that would be super reckless if you did.
Yeah, okay. Thanks.
If you worked on chain, I guess maybe. But with this, you're basically issuing the state coins after the bitcoins get deposited. So you would have a huge inflation problem if people double spent on confirmed transactions.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes a lot of sense to wait for confirmations. You can sort them. You can have a number of picks. Obviously, you're gonna see a QR code on the screen, and the Bitcoin address. Don't send anything to this address, please. Don't try anything with this wallet. So yeah, it's really interesting. Can you generate a different address every time you make a request for swapping?
Well, every time you click so every time you click deposit, you cooperate with us to generate a new one, and that's work. That's us working with you as well, so you can have multiple then.
You can
That's not
even
generating
create.
them now.
Yeah, I was just
Yeah.
clicking like a monkey. So there's high liquidity for 0.001 BTC. I guess this is about $23 if you want to run an experiment today and see how Statechains work. I guess this is a good place to start. And I guess this is a different address.
Yes.
But for some reason... Okay, how do I open this? Oh, I can
What do you want to
delete
open?
them, which is convenient. For some reason, the other one, which was 0.01, was the first one to appear. Now I have this one to deal with. Yeah, super nice. And the interface is so simple and intuitive. Like, I don't have any gripes with Thomas from Electrum, but it seems like... So he is the creator of the most complex wallet in Bitcoin, I think. The one that shows you all the information about transactions and stuff. And I very much appreciate what he is doing, but at the same time, it's not simple. And he added lots of options in the menus, and you have to specifically look for them. And this is super basic. Like, the explanations that you made today during the episode are useful, but not necessary, because someone who doesn't understand any of that can still use MercuryWallet. Let's look in the settings. Let's see what you have here. You can change the block explorer. You can even use your own if you're running it on your node. Server port and protocol. Electrum X server host. You're using Blockstream and Mempool. Super classic. Both of them, as far as I know, are privacy cautious. So by default, this is a good choice. But you can use your own. This is the XPub, the fabled XPub, but this is only for Bitcoin, not for Statechains. Statecoins,
yeah.
I mean.
Yeah.
Swap conductor endpoint, swap entity endpoint, Tor proxy control port. To me, this is interesting. It's geeky. You can create a wallet backup. And what's the file? It's a JSON. So this is how you recover, right? You create a wallet backup as a file, and when you open Mercury on a different computer or after a fresh reinstall of your OS, you recover from this JSON file.
Yeah.
You can manage backup transactions.
So backup transaction, that's kind of key to the whole thing. So obviously there's a risk you could wake up one day and we could be missing. The backup transaction allows you to broadcast a transaction to recover your Bitcoin if one day you wake up and Mercury Wallet doesn't exist. So that's a key
Nice.
part of our security. Yeah.
I guess I omitted to ask you about this, but it's useful that you mentioned it. I mean, I guess it's implied in that whole HSM
Mm.
explanation.
Yeah,
And if you look
because
at
this is
this
not. Yeah.
drawing, I guess you can figure it out by yourself that
Yeah.
can be the case. But it's still useful to explicitly mention. And you can also download a text file with your activity log. I guess this is for development purposes if you want to report an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You have a question mark. What does this do? Oh, about with information about the version.
Yeah, this is all the legal stuff you love.
Privacy policy, definitions, and collection of personal identifiable information does not require indication of any personally identifiable information. This is accurate. And terms of use, this is the one where I identified that issue. I guess this is like a general purpose terms of use for software where they just
Mm-hmm.
put Mercury Wallet on top of it, but forgot that this is open source and anyone can copy and reverse engineer it. I mean, there's no need to reverse engineer it because it's all out there.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else that you would want me to look at?
I guess the most interesting button is the swap button. I mean, obviously, send and receive allows you to send and receive. So this is where you find other people to swap with. And yeah, one thing I should mention here, this is something that's going to change a lot when we go fully blinded. So at the moment, users tend to come here, they'll swap, they might leave this thing running for a few days to increase the people they swapped with. But when we're fully blinded, there really isn't no need because we'll have no. Once the system's fully blinded, which is what we're working on, we won't have any knowledge of any Bitcoin addresses, and nor will anyone else. So essentially, just swapping once gives you the anonymity set of all the stake coins in the pool. So there's no point to sit there and let it swap for days on end. You've got the anonymity set of all the whole pool, as opposed to kind of sitting there and letting it swap. Does that make sense?
I guess you need to explain it to me more easily.
Yeah. So
it went over my head.
You're familiar with coin joins, yeah?
Yeah.
So the way all coin join systems works, you join a coin join, you join once, or what's the right word? You coin join, and that gives you the anonymity set of all the coin join members. To increase that, you coin join again, and your anonymity set gets higher. Now, with CoinSwaps, that's not necessarily clear because you're swapping. It depends who you swap with that you improve your privacy. But however, we have allowed it so that people can sit here, click the swap button, and sit here for as long as they want swapping. And because this is all off chain, there's no cost. But once we go fully blinded, there's actually on our side, we're just seeing stake coins. We're not seeing any UTXOs. We don't see anything. So there's no real advantage to sitting here and swapping for days. Once you've swapped, no one knows who you've swapped with. So your anonymity set or your swap score is essentially all the stake coins that are in the system. So swapping once or say 100 times makes absolutely no difference from a privacy point of view.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with a coin join, obviously, the more you coin join, the more kind of private you become.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, you
it's a
can make
complicated
an
one.
argument that with coin joins, it's expensive to do more rounds as you pay for the transaction fee and the coordination fee. And it's also not scalable for everyone to do that because there is a limited amount of block space. So you should not assume that this is going to be affordable forever. With CoinSwaps, I guess, and what you're doing here with rounds, you said that there's no difference between doing one of them and 100 of them, but there's also no cost. So
Once, yes. I mean, the only issue is that if you go back to the main page, you see that there's a time lock on these. So these state coins can only, well, because you haven't got one up and running, but you would, once you deposit funds into this, it's going to have an expiry date. We default this to 3 months. And this is part of the security mechanism. Statechains, they're not unlimited. You can't come into this wallet, create a state coin, and have that for life. And that's, I can go into the security protocol, but essentially, a previous owner could steal the funds. Now, what protects you is that they could only do it after that time lock. In that time lock, if a previous owner tries to steal your funds, so long as you broadcast your transaction first, there's no risk. And that's one of the challenges. And it's similar. Lightning has a similar problem, but they deal with it much better. The protocol of Lightning, you're not incentivized to do that. With state coins, the incentive is a little bit weaker. But yeah, so these don't last forever. So even though swaps, you could do as many as you want, they don't cost. You do have a cost in time, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And I do notice on the main page, or how should I put it, the main menu of your wallet, that you have deposit and withdraw. And this is the Bitcoin side, and it's distinguished with an orange color on the buttons. And you have a state coin side, which is blue or dark blue. I'm not sure how else you would define this. Like, I'm sure that there's a name for this color, but it's dark blue. That's what I see. And if you add Lightning, I guess you're gonna have a different set of buttons in the menu.
Yeah, I mean, the way we've done it for now is that when we add Lightning, you can see, if you look at the top, you see 0 BTC. You see that padlock that kind of symbolizes for us a state coin, because a state coin is locked for a period of time. It's not permanent. We're probably just going to have a drop down where you can flip to Lightning, and there'll be very much the same look and feel, but you'll move from like a state coin context to a Lightning context. That's how we plan to do it. I mean, the wallet does work, but it's in very much alpha. But we're hoping we can knock off a few of the alphas in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I very much look forward to it, and I want to test it. And
yeah,
this is basically the Lightning wallet you did not know that you wanted to use. But now that you went through all of this presentation, you know that there's a lot to Mercury Wallet. It's super complex in the back end. If you look at this, there's a lot going on, but the interface is super simple. Anyone can use this. Anyone can deposit BTC, swap it for state coins, and then run some CoinSwaps or whatever. And there is a market depending on the amount that you're holding. Right now for 0.01 BTC, I think this is the best option. It's not a huge amount, but I guess it's also the amount of money that's worth experimenting with right now. I don't know. Feel free to have a different opinion, but I'm happy that we did this, honestly. I think it's the first time when I do it in the podcast, like a live demo of a wallet, but it's super useful. So is there anything else that you would like to add, Nicholas?
No, I think I'm trying to think of things that I could have said, but I think I've outlined as much as I can without promising too much.
Yeah, so Mercury Wallet, it's available on pretty much every desktop OS. And you should give it a try, even if you don't swap in the beginning or whatever. Just see how it works. This might be the future of Bitcoin privacy. I mean, it will be the future of Bitcoin privacy if you use it in great numbers, right? So it's all up to us to use the tools that we have.
Yeah, I mean, I think the future of Bitcoin privacy is going to be somehow in the Lightning space. I see Statechains as an anabolic steroids to Lightning. Yeah, it's going to be part of the Lightning ecosystem, and it's going to improve a lot of the Lightning network. Which I think you use Lightning. It's got great momentum, but there's still a lot of challenges there. And I think Statechains is going to be something that helps a lot with the ecosystem. That's why I see it.
How would you describe Statechains as being different from something like a normal sidechain like Liquid? I mean, some would argue that Liquid is not even a sidechain, but that's a different conversation.
I mean, you could make an argument at a high level that Statechains are essentially a sidechain of UTXOs, which they are. I think that the custody model with sidechains like Liquid is better in Statechains. I mean, yeah, I view Statechains as yeah, I think the best word to describe it is that there is custodial risk. I think all layer twos, but like Liquid Federation could just steal the funds. I mean, they're quite open about that. Statechains, you have to trust the HSM, you have to trust the protocol. But if that all happened, you've still got your backup transaction to say, wait, I've been robbed here. Whereas I think Liquid doesn't. So I think the security model is a bit better and a bit more transparent. But, we have limitations in Statechains. I think the biggest one is the fixed UTXO set, but that's why it fits very much in Lightning, which has obviously got any denomination. And I think what you'll see, I mean, in an ideal world, you're going to see Lightning Network do its thing. But when people want to rebalance channels, rather than open and close channels, you potentially could move channels around us, like with using state coins. Why not? A state coin is only a UTXO. That UTXO can be a Bitcoin, or it can be a private key to a Lightning channel. And I think that's where it's going to get interesting. And I think maybe other people will have some creative ideas, but I think that's where it gets cool.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Nicholas. I think this interview was really useful for presenting what MercuryWallet can do, and I hope that you also got some feedback on the wallet.
No, I appreciate that. It's always...
And I very much look forward to the Lightning integration and the mobile application and all of that.
Yeah, but it's just not in 2 weeks, okay?
Of course. I mean, 2 weeks is the standard time for everything happening in this space.
Yeah. No, thanks for having us on your show. I enjoy it as always.
Okay, I hope I'll interview you again when you finally launch the mobile application, and maybe we can take a look at that.
For sure.
Are you concerned that your friends, neighbors, or KYC exchange might know how much Bitcoin you own? It is time to take your financial privacy seriously with Wasabi Wallet, a free and open source wallet solution which makes use of mega coin joins to mix your coins with those of hundreds of other strangers. Thanks to the groundbreaking Wabi-Sabi engine, your coins get divided in smaller, untraceable units, which grant you great anonymity for both hodling and spending. Download Wasabi Wallet 2.0 today at wasabiwallet.io and take advantage of the mega coin joins. It's free and it's open source, so don't trust, verify. CryptoSteel are innovators in Bitcoin cold storage. Back in 2013, they launched the CryptoSteel cassette, which made it easy to back up your seed phrase, passphrase, or any other form of private key on the sturdy metal which resists water, fire, and earthquakes. Today, CryptoSteel offers the Motherload, an all-in-one box which endows you with everything you need to become financially sovereign. Inside of the Motherload, you get a CryptoSteel capsule and a hardware wallet of your choice. All CryptoSteel products are engineered and manufactured in Poland. Order your CryptoSteel metal backup system today on cryptosteel.com and use promo code BTCTKVR at checkout for a 10% discount on your first order. CryptoSteel, secure your wallet seed phrase. Are you a writer, photographer, musician, or video creator who's trying to generate some revenue? Bumby is the Bitcoin way to monetize your content. It's more censorship resistant than any other platform of its kind, with a low and flat one-time fee of 10%. Bumby is as easy to use as any social media mobile application. Sign up today at Bumby.com and subscribe for free to the Bitcoin Takeover account to get access to some time-exclusive content. If you are monetizing your creativity, why not get paid in Bitcoin for it? Bumby.com, the Bitcoin way to monetize your content. Shopping with your Bitcoin on the internet is easy. Shop&Bit is Europe's biggest Bitcoin store with over 800,000 products, ranging from Bitcoin books, toothpaste, mobile phones, computers, and watches. This month, I bought a Nintendo Game & Watch console with the classic Legend of Zelda, and it arrived in only 5 working days. And if you can't find what you're looking for, Shop&Bit has got you covered. Their concierge service will get you anything and ship it worldwide. Additionally, they also have a travel hacking service that can get you the best deals on all things travel, flights, hotels, and more, for business and for vacations. Bitcoin Takeover listeners get a nice discount, of course. Use code BTCTKVR on your first order for a one-time €5 discount. For more details, go to shopinbit.com. Shop&Bit, Europe's biggest Bitcoin store.